You know, when you hear the word Mahabharata, your mind probably jumps straight to the epic war, right? The strategies, the heroes, the grand battles. But have you ever stopped to wonder what happened after? After the last arrow flew and the battlefield finally fell silent? Well, that's the story we're diving into. It's not about winning a kingdom. It's about what it takes to leave one behind. This is the story of a final profound journey that begins right where all the fighting ends.
It all really kicks off with Yudhishthira. After he witnesses the tragic end of his elders, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and Kunti, in a forest fire, something just clicks. It's this moment of absolute stunning clarity. He realizes, this body, this kingdom, this splendor, all will be left behind. In the end, only karma and memory travel with us. That thought becomes the catalyst for everything that follows. He turns to his brothers, and their new purpose is set. A journey not for a kingdom, but for the purification of the soul.
And just like that, they walk away. They literally turn their backs on the grand halls of Hastinapura and face north. Their destination? The towering, silent peaks of the Himalayas. The goal isn't power or glory anymore. It's all about atonement. Their first objective on this new path is crystal clear. They have to seek forgiveness for the immense bloodshed of the war. And for that, there's only one being they can turn to, Lord Shiva. Even Bhima understood that true forgiveness could only come from Mahadev, the great god who, despite his power to reduce anyone to ash, is also the ultimate source of compassion. But here's the central conflict of this whole part of their journey. Shiva wasn't just waiting there with open arms. No way. He was deeply disturbed by the carnage of the Mahabharata, all the deceit, all the violence. He wasn't going to make their path to forgiveness an easy one. They had to really prove they were truly repentant. So Shiva decided to test their resolve. Legend says he took the form of a bull hiding among a herd. But you can't fool the mighty Bhima. He saw right through the disguise. As Bhima reached for him, though, the bull began to disappear into the ground. Bhima only managed to grab its hump, which remained above the earth, becoming the sacred site of Kedarnath. But their persistence was rewarded. The other parts of the bull's body, his arms, his face, his navel, and his hair, reappeared at 4 other locations, forming what we now know as the Panch Kedar, the 5 secret shrines. But this journey to these 5 sites, it wasn't just physical. Not at all. Each temple, nestled in the stark, incredible beauty of the Himalayas, became a confessional. Here, surrounded by nothing but stone and ice, the Pandavas confronted the ghosts of the war, not as warriors, but as men reckoning with their own souls. At one of these shrines, Yudhishthira, the very embodiment of Dharma, confessed his greatest failings. He atoned for that disastrous dice game that cost them everything, and for that calculated lie he told Drona about Aswatthama, a lie that won them a battle, but cost him a piece of his integrity. Then there was Bhima, the powerhouse. He confronted his own demon, his uncontrollable rage. He confessed the sin of his brutal, rule-breaking blow to Duryodhana's thigh. It was an act born of a vow, yes, but also of a fury that he now sought to just release into the cold mountain air. And even Arjuna, the perfect warrior, had heavy burdens to lay down. He sought forgiveness for killing his own brother Karna, and for all the times when the demands of duty forced his hand into acts he deeply regretted. His was a confession for the sheer weight of a war he never wanted. The confessions continued with the younger twins, Nakula and Sahadeva, who had to face their own inner flaws. They acknowledged the subtle but corrosive sins of pride, Nakula for his own beauty and Sahadeva for his unmatched wisdom. It shows that even these seemingly small vanities had to be shed. And finally, Draupadi. Her confession was perhaps the most subtle of them all. She acknowledged a secret partiality she held in her heart among her 5 husbands. This just shows us that every single member of the group, no matter how righteous, was carrying a private weight that needed to be released before they could move on. After completing their pilgrimage to the Panch Kedar, something changed. Their penance was complete. The journey's focus shifted from seeking forgiveness to something even more difficult, the act of truly letting go of their past selves. They kept climbing up along the Alaknanda River until they reached Mana, a place that is still known today as the last village in India on this path. This was the threshold. It's said that beyond this point, the realm of mortals ends and the path of the gods begins. Here they ate and gave alms one last time, saying a final farewell to the world of men.
As they left Mana, though, they weren't entirely alone. A stray dog had been silently following them. Bhima, seeing the difficult path ahead, tried to shoo it away, but the dog always came back. Yudhishthira simply said, "Let him be. He has chosen to walk with us." And so the dog walked on. This whole ascent marked a complete internal transformation. The higher they climbed, the less the rules of their old world mattered. I mean, the truth of the war was that weapons were strength, but here in the Himalayas, weapons are just a burden. Victory was the goal back then. Now, renunciation is the goal. Everything was completely turned on its head. And this led to one of the most powerful, symbolic moments of their journey. First, Arjuna let his legendary bow, the Gandhiva, just slip from his grasp. Then Bhima placed his iconic mace upon a rock, finally letting go of the rage it represented. In that profound silence, they weren't just abandoning weapons, they were shedding their very identities as warriors. Finally, surrounded by this vast expanse of snow-covered peaks, they arrived at the path known as Swargarohini, the ascent to heaven. It looked like a staircase climbing straight into the sky. The air was thin, their bodies were weary, but their spirits were clear. The final leg of their journey had begun. With every step forward, they left more of the world behind. This was no longer a test of physical endurance, but a test of the soul's purity. Now the next step is towards heaven, but at every step, someone will have to be left behind.